Hello, I'm Jake Morris, and today I'm going to be doing a rent versus own analysis and trying to figure out at what point it would be best to purchase a home rather than renting. We're going to start out with some basic figures on the side. We're going to have price, then we'll have our rent growth percentage or growth rate, our property growth rate, our insurance, our maintenance costs, our expense growth, our marginal tax, our property tax rate, and our selling expenses. Which will just be costs of, or closing costs, anything we have to pay a realtor or anybody to help us sell the house. So we're going to go ahead and write these figures in. The price on the home is going to be $250,000. Our rent is going to be $1,600 a month. Well, it's going to be $1,600 a month. We need to get the annual, so we're going to say 1,600 times 12, and that's going to give us $19,200 a year. Our rent growth percentage is going to be 3%. Our property growth is going to be 3% as well. Our insurance is going to be $1,000 a year. Our maintenance is going to be $2,500 a year. Our expense growth is going to be 3% per year. Marginal tax is going to be 28%. Our property tax rate will be 2% per year, and our selling expenses will be 7%. And I'll kind of clean these numbers up. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. So we'll go ahead and just type that figure back in because I can't seem to find well, there it is, the undo button. Alright, so now we'll clean these numbers up. Go ahead and clean these up also. Make it a little easier to read. And these are going to be in dollar amounts, so we'll go ahead and add that. Which I should have done that earlier. Alright, so there is our basic figures that we're going to be working with. Now, from the bank, we will have a loan to value rate of 80%. So we're going to have to come up with the other 20% as a down payment. Our loan amount is going to be equal to our loan to value times the purchase price, which is going to give us $200,000. So we'll have to come up with the other $50,000 as a down payment on the home. Alright, now our interest rate on this loan is going to be 5%. The loan term is going to be 30 years. I'll write years out here to the side so I can remember. And we're going to be making 12 payments a year. And 12 right there. Alright, so now that we've got this, we can kind of figure up everything else. And we're going to go ahead and go down here and figure out what our annual debt will be if we were to purchase the house. So right here we're going to figure out what our payment's going to be. And I like to use this feature right here, where that way I know what I'm typing in. So our interest rate is going to be the rate right here, and that's going to be 5%. Our number of periods is going to be 30, and since I've got that in years, I'm going to have to multiply that by 12. Our present value is going to be what the value of the loan is. So here we've got what we need to figure out the payment, and that is not at all right. So I'm going to have to go back here and recalculate some of this. Alright, so going back to where we were, we'll go ahead and retype all this stuff in, figure out where I went wrong. So the rate is going to be the interest rate, and I'm going to have to divide that by 12 is where I messed up, because that's going to be our annual percentage rate. Number of periods is going to be 30, and I'm going to have to go in here and multiply that by 12 again, and that's going to be 360 months that we're going to make payments on this house. Our present value is the value of the loan, and that should give us our monthly payment. Now this is our since we're trying to figure out our annual debt, we're going to have to multiply this by 12 to figure out what our how much we'll pay on this loan throughout the year, which will be $12,883.72. Alright, so now that we've got that, we want to figure out what our loan constant is going to be, and kind of get an idea of how much of the loan that we're going to be paying off every year. So how we'll figure that, we'll say this is going to be equal to, and we're going to take this, what we pay per year, and divide that by our loan amount, and that's going to give us this figure right here. If we want that in a percentage, it will be 6% per year. Get a couple more decimals in there and get a better idea. Now this is a negative number, so what we can do is go up here, or go right here and make one of these a negative, and that should get us on the positive side, so we've got a better feel for what that figure is going to represent. Alright, so if we want to figure out what our equity is going to be, so what we would have to pay out of our pocket, which I've already kind of talked about earlier, we'll take our price of the home and subtract our loan amount from that, and that'll be $50,000 that we're going to have to come up with. Alright, so now that we've got that, this is kind of just the breakdown of the loan that we're going to have. So if we wanted to figure out what our balance was going to be at the end of the year, for each year that we own the house, we can do kind of a small amortization chart or schedule and show how much interest we paid or how much we've paid toward the principal on the home. So we can go ahead and use the figures that we've got in here and kind of figure that kind of stuff out right here. End of the year. And we're going to go over here and we'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so we'll want to know what the cost per year is, which we already know. We'll want to know how much we have paid toward the principal on the loan and how much we have paid toward interest on this loan. And another thing that might be important for us to know is what our balance is going to be after each period. So our cost per year, we already know that's going to be $12,883.72. So we'll just go ahead and get that figure filled in right here. And if we want to make that positive, we can just come up here and put a negative in front of it. And so right here, it's going to be this. It's going to be the same each year. So we'll say this one is going to be equal to that, and then we'll just drag this over here. So now we know what we're going to, or we were showing what our yearly payments are going to be for each of the first 5 years, which is all going to be the same, and our principal. Alright, so now that we've got that, we want to figure out what our principal is going to be per year, and I'm going to go up here and use this little function key and cumulative principal, and use this little chart to fill in the figures and figure out how much we're going to be paying on the principal of this loan in the first 12 months. So what we're going to do, our rate is going to be, again, our interest rate divided by 12. Our number of periods is going to be 30, and then times 12, because that's in years. Our present value of the loan is going to be $200,000. Our start period is going to be the first month, and our end period is going to be the 12th month. And we're just going to type a 1 in right here. So we've paid $3,768 and about 36 cents in this first month going toward our principal. Alright, so looking at the example, I know that's not right, and what I'm going to do, since we're paying at the beginning of the month, we're going to put a 0 right here, and that's going to give us $2,950.73. Go ahead and take some of the decimals out of this. Take some decimals out of this one, and we're left with $2,950.73, and that's showing a negative because that is going to be our cash flow out of our pocket. So that's money that we're going to be paying out of our pocket for this loan. Now, we know that since our yearly costs on this loan is gonna be 12,000.